Hello and welcome to the Battlefront Secret Interview Clubhouse, and today I'm here with Wayne, who has just finished writing Death from Above and All American. Wayne, how are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
Alright, so Death from Above and All American. We put some questions to the Facebook audience, as we do with each of these book releases, and now you have to answer some of them. But first, why don't you tell the lovely people what the books are about, generally speaking?
Well, I mean, both books come out of an opportunity to add to the mid-war range of briefings, books and content and forces you can field, because we were doing Fallschirmjager and American Airborne for Normandy. So all we had to do was add a few extra figures to the sculpting program, and we were able to use them for mid-war as well.
A few extra figures like?
I think there's some weaponry that wasn't used later that we can that are in mid-war. I don't think you can have anti-tank rifles or anything for the Fallschirmjager in Normandy.
Now.
Yeah, so you got those for that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. All right. So we have some questions, and we'll just sort of jump into the first one from Chris Bailey, who asks, "What's the design methodology? Are you set a task that you write to, or do you decide where you want to explore next and take it to be approved?" I guess this is more of a general question about writing, but
yeah, well, there's a little bit of leeway for the writer to look a bit more deeply into things and decide what units or whatever to put in. This one was pretty straightforward because I'd done a lot of this research before from previous editions of Flames of War, so it was pretty much just looking at what we'd researched in the past, see if we needed to update or add anything and move from there. So this was a pretty clear outline from our management team, from Pete, to what he wanted, and so we just went with that.
Well, I also think I recall the moment you said, why didn't I put Rangers in this too?
Yeah, well, we were looking, because it was kind of a quite light book. The American one's only quite small, and we had a bit of space, so we thought maybe we'll add the Rangers as well, because we were doing Rangers for Normandy, so we were looking at the Ranger rules and how they would work. So it was an opportunity to do those for mid-war as well. They did a lot of fighting in Italy especially, so yeah, we thought we'd add them. And then at the same time, when we were doing the Fallschirmjager, I'd done the Italian Paratroopers as a separate thing, and we were looking at maybe putting them up as a web article, as a PDF or something like that, go up in digital. But then we decided, well, we might as well put them in the book with the Fallschirmjager, because they fought alongside each other quite often. So yeah.
And it's just more colourful additions to the thing. Yeah,
and we already got a range of figures we had available for the Italian Paratroopers that we did for mid-war previously. So we're just using those same figures again. Yeah. So they'll be metal rather than plastic, but yeah.
Yeah, because those are still quite. I mean, I think there's some pictures in here, and they're pretty cool looking dudes, really.
They've got their little round helmet and bunch of ammunition belts and stuff on, and wearing the Italian.
Yeah, it's what are they, like samurai? They call it, the ammunition belts, and like turtle shell or something. Anyway, that's very nifty. So Connell R. Johnson asks, when writing for either book, what sections got you most motivated to write about? And we'll broaden that, like maybe not just section, but what, maybe even army or nation or weapon team or whatever. I was kind of, with these particular books, it was more about gathering the information we already had up together. And because when you look at the histories of things and you look at their actual fighting, it does influence what you put in the actual army list. So you'll do some research, just so you write about a particular campaign, and then you'll find something and go, they were using that then, or they had support from that, whatever, and that might influence how you make the army list. Yeah. Is there because the army lists in these two books are quite focused.
Yeah, so the idea with Americans are easy because there's only the Fighting First mid-war book. So basically this goes with Fighting First. So if you want armour, things like that, tank destroyers, you use Fighting First. And we've put basically the force diagram in this book is an updated version of the Fighting First one. So we've just added the Ranger and the Paratroop infantry formations and then a few things from their support that you can use with, like the glider artillery, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So, but the Fallschirmjager, they're a bit different. They have they can be used with any of the German mid-war books. You just pick one to use, and they have a lot more of their own support from their own division. So how we wrote that is that you can, once you've picked your main force diagram, you can use support from that, but you can also use the specialist Fallschirmjager support from the diagram in here.
Yeah. So, so that gives you the opportunity to sort of put together like a targeted Fallschirmjager force and then add a few bits of other guys to it.
Yeah.
Or just take your Fallschirmjager as a platoon supporting another force, or is it? So it's all still linked in that way.
And if you wanted to, if you just had this, you could still field a force of just Fallschirmjager from this.
Yeah. If
you wanted to. And you could do the same with the paratroopers here. Yeah. Just you've only got, and the Rangers, but you just got a very limited choice.
Yes. So part of that focusing is about just finding out generally what they would most likely be using at the given period, or is it that they were really, really specific forces in actual practice?
The thing but mid-war, there's only there's only a limited number of campaigns and battles and that they fought in. And the Fallschirmjager, they did some air operations in mid-war, but they were mainly reinforcing drops. They weren't dropping into combat as such. The nearest was Sicily, where they dropped and then were involved in the battle for Plymouth Solly Bridge, but they didn't drop into combat. They dropped and then they went into combat. Yeah. And then, that's similar to later when we do the British Paratrooper book. A lot of their operations are like that, apart from Sicily where they dropped, and that had its own problems. But the operations they were doing in Tunisia weren't dropping. A lot of the time when they thought they were dropping on something, they'd get there and there were no one here, and then
right, okay. And that's also, there is a British, just to clarify that, there is a British book coming.
So it'll be a similar size to the American one that's coming. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but
it'll be out after D-Day.
The work on it's been mostly done, so that's
that'll be after D-Day British.
Yeah, so that's basically waiting on when the British paratrooper figures are all finished up. So
cool. So there's something to.
So that'll come out at the same time as around the same time as the D-Day British book, probably after the D-Day British book.
Yeah, after the D-Day British book, because I think these were a couple months after maybe 2 months after.
Yeah.
All right. This is a question from Dan Neal, who wants to know, does Death from Above cover all the theatres in which Fallschirmjager served during mid-war, including the Eastern Front, or is it just focused on the Mediterranean?
No, it includes the Eastern Front, yeah. I mean, because the actual organisation of the paratroopers themselves didn't change that much. They're like their platoons and that. So what you're changing there is you're picking either Iron Cross or Ghost Pans as your book you're going to work with, and what support you give them. Yeah, I mean, most of their fighting was defensive, or they were acting as kind of localised fire brigade stuff, where they were kind of being rushed to a hot spot to hold off a Soviet attack somewhere, just as they were a little bit tougher than the local kind of grenadiers were. So probably Iron Cross is probably your best bet as a historical kind of support type thing.
Get a good mix of bits and pieces. So there's not really a difference if I want to play them. I might paint my desert ones as in a yellow.
It's up to you. It's how you paint them. So you go with the tropical look for Tunisia and Italy.
The Africa green pants and the.
No, actually, Fallschirmjager would have been using the Luftwaffe tropical gear, which is more a kind of yellowy tan sandy colour.
Yellowy tan sandy colour, and then the smock is not camo. It's like a plain olive, isn't it?
No, they would have had either. They would have had a splinter camouflage.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Or if they were still wearing the early one, they're kind of like a weird kind of pale greeny colour was the early one. It was just one colour. Yeah.
And then on the Eastern Front, it's just splinter camo.
Just mostly splinter.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So that's sort of how you're going to separate them. There's not sort of a specific difference between any of them anyway. So Kevin Malvaez asks, what source did you use most for your research on the Italian paratroopers, Did you uncover anything interesting that you previously did not know when doing the research for these books? So I assume there's probably not been a huge increase in subject material
I remember belonging to the Commando Supremo forum many years ago, which was an Italian World War II forum. I remember when we first did the Fagori, we got a lot of information from them, and talking to Italian guys who had access to Italian books, and it's Italian, and they'd give us background, more information.
I suppose a lot of this is hampered by the fact that not a lot of English-speaking historians do Italian military history.
No, exactly. Yeah, so like just talking to sort of Italian enthusiasts about it and getting background information from them, that sort of thing. But a lot of the research done for these guys was done many years ago, when we probably second edition or third, start of third edition, probably second edition more likely, where we did a lot of the work on the Fagori initially.
And so now it's sort of bringing it back together, giving it a check over.
Yeah, go through and have a look, see if there's anything we want to review. Have a quick look, see if there's anything new that's kind of shed light on anything, but nothing dramatic.
Nothing dramatic?
Yeah.
But so just sort of get that, uncovering anything interesting. Maybe not that you previously didn't know, but something that does interest you about the Italian paratroopers. Are they a sort of an intriguing force with a surprising history? Are they?
Well, I mean, they didn't get as much fighting in mid-war as the Fallschirmjager. They were initially earmarked. They were going to join the Fallschirmjager and in the attack on Malta, but the whole idea of taking Malta got cancelled. So that's why they ended up in the line in Alamein. So mostly their fighting is at the Battle of Alamein, and so they're in their own battle group, got their own artillery. They were fighting alongside the normal Italian infantry, and got artillery support from the normal Italian infantry and stuff. So just using Avanti alongside them, you can field them with normal Italian troops as well as themselves. Yeah.
Oh yeah, very cool. Chris Stewart asks, which of the two booklets will have the greater effect on the meta, and which seems to have garnered the most excitement from the studio team? Well, I guess metas are different everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah, they are different. I think, the fact in mid-war that the paratroopers and and to a certain extent the Rangers will be probably your best troops available to the Americans. I think the paratroopers especially will probably, if you really want some hard elite infantry, paratroopers are going to be really good for that. Yeah,
they're pretty formidable. So you think it'll likely be all American if one of them is going to?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Fallschirmjager are cool, except you've already got some quite good veteran infantry in the Germans anyway, with the grenadiers and the Panzer grenadiers and things. But the paratroopers are definitely they're more of an improvement over your standard American troops than the Fallschirmjager are over your standard German troops. Yeah.
But having said that, garnering the most excitement from the studio team, it would be the Fallschirmjager on account of
I think so. People always love Fallschirmjager.
The opportunity to paint them sort of all these wacky and exciting colours.
Though Victor's painting up some American paratroopers at the moment, and he's deliberately approaching it so he can use them for mid and late.
Well, that's the ideal thing, right? Because you do exactly the same with this.
Yeah, exactly.
Just paint your guys Splinter and paint them in sort of a general greenish colour.
Well, if you go for the early uniform, it covers both mid-war and Normandy. Yeah, and then because the later, more greener paratrooper uniform, which is the same colour as most of the rifles and armoured rifles got later, is where so they go away from having that canvas khaki jacket and brown trousers to just a green jacket and green trousers. Yeah.
And that's the benefit of the booklet, though, isn't it? Is that you pick up your force out of D-Day American or out of D-Day German, and then you just go ahead and take it to a mid-war tournament, or a mid-war game, or
you probably have less bazookas, and your anti-tank assets won't be quite as good, but
right. But at the same time, you'll be shooting M1441s, which you can get through with a rubber band and a paperclip.
Yes.
So that's not going to be such a hindrance. Joachim Heckel asks, are there Fallschirmjager companies especially for Africa? So if we've already discussed how they are largely similar, but say I wanted to put together a force out of Death from Above and any of the other books to really reflect something in Africa, what might I look for?
Oh, well, they kind of, the Ramphuger Brigade, who were the guys that fought at Alamein, they got a little bit they didn't really get a lot of support as such, so they were kind of stuck with the Italians where they were. So actually having some Italian allied support would probably be the most historical sort of composition for them, sort of thing.
There you go.
Yeah. But the guys in Tunisia, like Witzig's and I can't remember the name of the other guy who were operating battalions in Tunisia, they were just supported by other German troops and things like that.
So Panzer IVs.
I think even Tigers fought with them at one point, I think.
Right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So really again it's about, pick a time, pick a battle or something, and go and have a look what's there, and you'll be able to put it together out of those. Yeah,
clearly for North Africa you're using Africa.
Yeah. I actually think that that's possibly a good opportunity to talk about some of the command cards in the two, because you mentioned some names, and there are some heroes in the two sets of cards. Yep,
I don't have the command cards with me, so I'd have to rely on my memory.
Yep. But there are the booklet, when you get it, does come with all the unit cards for everything in the.
Yeah, so the books come in a little a cardboard box that it's got a cover and a shrink wrapped, and you get your cards and you get some command cards. So there's not. I think you get I can't remember which one. One of them has more command cards than the other.
It'll probably be this one on account of it having Italian and German.
Yes, maybe that one there. But the other thing is the American. You can also use the appropriate fighting first command cards or whatever other book command cards you're using these with. Yeah.
Okay, so you're just sort of mixing them up. But there are a few opportunities to get a few. I know there's a mountain artillery card.
Yeah,
things like that.
Yeah.
Ghost Phasma artillery.
Because the Fagori were pilfering guns off some of the Italian infantry divisions, so they put together a extra battery of anti-tank guns.
So there are opportunities to add that little bit of extra flavour and tweak it a little bit, but you're going to want to have to look through those yourself and work out what ones you want to use. So final question, out of these four potential lists, the Rangers, Paratroopers, Paraducis, Delianis and Fallschirmjager, is there one that really draws you? Is there one that you've got waiting to be painted or fully painted or waiting to get back on the battlefield?
I have had Fallschirmjager figures in the past in a box to paint. I end up giving them to a friend. I just haven't got round to doing it. I've just always got something else on the go. I have been considering the Americans, just because I've never done any American army at all.
Never.
So possibly Paratroopers might be the way to go to get into doing an American army.
Yeah, and we've got the cool new sculpt, so it'll be a good paint. All right, well, thank you for taking time out of your very busy day to sit down with me and answer these questions. So, everybody, thanks for your questions, and you will be able to pick up Death from Above and All American in November. Thank you.